Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Welcome to my first Halloween sort of video. I'll be talking about a movie that Lindsay is being distracting, but yeah, I'm going to be talking about a movie that came out in 1993, and it's a film that I always deemed as not a good film, and even on my channel, I've said it's not that good of a film, and a lot of people consider it a Halloween classic, a nostalgic classic, one of the best Halloween-related films, one of the best kids' films out there. And it's a film that I never really liked. It's a film my family has always liked, but I've never really enjoyed. That is Hocus Pocus. This is a film that I didn't see the praise. I didn't see why people enjoyed it so much. And I watched it pretty recently because I haven't seen it in a long time. And I wanted to dissect it and see if it actually is as bad as I thought it was. Or is there maybe something that I didn't see before that, yeah, this is actually a great film, or at least I understand the nostalgia of it. So I'm going to go into a little detail. I've never really did a whole video just about Hocus Pocus and stuff, but I'm going to go through this one because it's Halloween season. My theater even just got this movie and stuff, so Hocus Pocus. What's the story? The story it takes place, I think, in the 18th century when the movie begins, and it's about three sisters that are all witches. They're played by Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and the fat girl from Rat Race. And they're these witches, and they get burned and hanged and stuff. It's almost kind of like a Salem witch trial kind of thing. Then it goes to modern day, which this movie was made in 1993, so it's the 90s, and it's about this kid named Max. And he's a new kid, so of course he's an outsider and stuff, and he misses home. You know, the typical cliched new kid stuff. He's getting picked on. He likes the hot girl in class. And yeah, he just feels like an outsider. You know, he's a good-looking kid, and I don't know why he'd feel like an outsider, but, you know, you gotta have the new kid cliche. And it's Halloween and stuff, and he needs to take his sister, Danny, played by actress Thora Birch. She's the girl that played in movies like American Beauty and stuff and Ghost World. Very, very good actress. She's very young in this movie. And her and her brother Max go trick-or-treating on Halloween night. And they meet up with the hot chick from his class and stuff. And basically he's just trying the whole night to, you know, get the digits of this hot chick. But on this Halloween night, the three witches get reborn because the three main characters find this old abandoned house, and they light the forbidden candle, and it resurrects the three evil witches that were burned and hanged in the 18th century. And basically, these three witches are back with their magical spell book, and they want to create themselves to be immortal, and they want to kill all the children that are in this town. And it's up to our three main characters, who are about 13 and 14 years old, and it's up to them to stop three powerful witches. Realism is not this movie's strong suit, but, you know, it's a fun little kids movie during the Halloween season. First thing I always hated about this movie, and it's the biggest thing ever, I never found it funny. It's supposed to be like this kind of spooky comedy film for kids. Even as a child, I never found it funny. My sister loves this movie, loves it. She thinks it's one of the best Halloween films. It's one of her favorite Disney films of all time. She adores this fucking film. Loves it. I never liked it. Even as a kid, I always thought it was a kind of lame kind of film and stuff. Even as a child, I like to watch more of like the spookier films and stuff. And even as a young kid, I got into like horror films at a very young age. So I never could get into Hocus Pocus. Halloween Town is the same thing. Like, I never got into that stuff. I watched it quite a bit as a child, but I never liked it that much. I actually didn't mind the second Halloween Town, but the rest of them, not very good. Hocus Pocus, I never got it. I never understood. It was never funny. It was not a funny film to me. They put a lot of 80s pop culture references, and like, it's just not funny. The cliches are unbearable too. Like, the new kid cliche is just, for one thing, this kid's supposed to, I think, like 14 years old he's supposed to be. The kid looks 20. That's very distracting. And he gets picked on by these bullies. And they're the like, lamest bullies. Like, who would get picked on by these bullies? Like, come on. These bullies are the kind of guys that would actually get picked on in school because they're such douchebags. Then there's, like, this cat named Beaks. and he basically helps them throughout the whole movie because he was once a boy and the witches turned him into a cat, and he's now an immortal cat. And they could have done a lot with his character, like all the stuff he would have saw through the hundreds of years. I'm like, one thing I don't get, like, are you saying for hundreds of years he stayed in this one town and guarded this? I don't know. I don't buy it and everything. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And at the end of the movie, he dies because the witches die. But throughout the whole movie, the witches have been dead, but he's been alive. So Beaks' magical power doesn't really make sense, and I don't really understand it. I don't hate him as a character, just his powers and his motivation doesn't make sense. I think the best person in this whole movie is Thora Birch as Danny. As a young kid actress, she's actually very good. She's a cute kid, and she's actually giving a pretty good performance. Like, there's a scene where she thinks Beaks is dead. She's very emotional. Like, anytime she has to show emotion and happiness, it's actually very good acting. I think she is actually the best actress in the film. The kid that plays Max is a very bland character. So, and the girl, the popular girl, I think she's just a bland, hot girl and stuff. You also have Doug Jones in the movie as like this random guy that comes out of nowhere, and he's basically the Deus Ex Machina in the movie. Basically, he knows all the answers, and he basically helps them all out. Sure, why not? I like Doug Jones, and the makeup on him is great, but he's just unnecessary in this film. The three witches, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and the fat chick from Rat Race. The three of them are actually not that bad. I don't think they're very funny in the movie. Their jokes don't even make sense. There's literally a scene where Bette Midler's flying on her broomstick, and the main character, Max, is driving. She's like, Pavlova, where's your driver's permit? Ha, 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 ha. I'm like, well, that joke's not funny. And how would she know what a driver's permit is? She's from the 18th century. They didn't have cars back then, so I don't even get the jokes. It doesn't even make sense. But they all are having fun in the role. And I that's the enjoyableness of the three main characters, the three main witches. They're having fun. They're goofy. They're over the top. They're always like waving their fingers and smiling and laughing over the top. I can tell the three actresses are having a lot of fun in the role. I don't think they're very funny, but I feel like they're having a lot of fun. And I can understand why people really enjoy their characters because they're goofy. They're silly. They're always like punching each other and doing something crazy. And I appreciate that they're having a good time in the role. So it does make a lot of people also have a good time as well. There's also like a musical sequence with Bette Midler. It's a funny one when she does the I put a spell on you scene. It's a pretty fun little scene. There's also some very, very odd moments in this movie that I'm like, it's almost kind of uncomfortable. The reason the candle, Max lights the candle in the movie and brings back the witches. The one thing it's so weird is a virgin has to light the candle, and he's like 14 years old, so of course he's a virgin. But throughout the whole movie, they almost make fun of that he's a virgin. Like, even the adults, they're like, you're a virgin, eh? And then the witches, you're a virgin, eh? I'm like, why are they, like, virgin shaming this kid? He's 14 years old. What kind of 14-year-old kid has sex? There are 14-year-olds that have sex, trust me. But they think it's just, like, the norm. Especially witches in the 18th century think it's normal that this 14-year-old kid is not a virgin. Like, it's just very weird. There's even a scene where a police officer, he talks to the police officer. He's like, oh, there's these witches following us because a virgin had to light the candle. And the police officer's like, so you're a virgin, eh? I'm like, what kind of police officer does that? And then we find out that he's not even a police officer. He's a guy dressed as a police officer. That, for one thing, is very illegal because you can't impersonate an officer. So this movie has a lot of just really silly and kind of stupid moments. I'm just like, what the fuck are they even talking about? And I don't know. It's just very weird, just very odd. And the movie it tries to be edgy sometimes, and it tries to be darkly comedic, and just it doesn't work for me. So I think as a straight comedy film, it's a complete failure. It doesn't work as a comedy. The jokes aren't clever, they're not funny, and they're not enjoyable and stuff. And I think most of the characters are pretty horribly written characters. There's nothing like bad for kids. They're just not interesting characters. They're all very one-note characters, very dull characters, a lot of cliches with the characters, and just they're not very interesting. However, I will say, I do understand why people like this movie so much. I understand, like even watching it recently, I get why people like this movie. It is nostalgia. It's a 90s nostalgia, and people who grew up in the 90s would get a lot of these references and a lot of these jokes, and they would understand who all these actors and actresses are and stuff, and it's something people grew up with. And you can't knock that because some people like bad things and they just grew up with them, and that's just nostalgia. Whether it's good or bad, they will watch it every Christmas or Halloween or Thanksgiving season and have a good time with it because that's something they grew up with, whether it's good or bad. I never understood why my sister liked Hocus Pocus, but now I get it. I understand. It's childhood for people. And I will give this movie also another thing. It brings out the Halloween season very well. The shots are good, and it has a lot of great Halloween decorations, and it's a story about witches. It feels very Halloween. It feels very Halloween. Like, if you're in for those movies that bring in the Halloween atmosphere and the nostalgia, it is a great film to watch. Is it a good movie? No, I don't think it is a good movie. Is it a bad movie? It's very debatable. I would still say yes, but I would say it's still kind of an enjoyably bad movie. Did my like for the film kind of go up? Maybe it did. Do I still think it's a great film? No, it's not. It's by no means a good film. But I get the nostalgia. I get the praise people give this movie, not for being a great film, but for being an enjoyable, nostalgia, guilty pleasure Halloween film. And that's the perfect way to explain Hocus Pocus. It's a guilty pleasure Halloween film. Is it my guilty pleasure? No, but I understand. I get it now. It was a film that I at least knocked, and I at least thought it was the dumbest thing ever. But I understand now. I get it. I understand the love for this film. Am I still going to say it's a bad film? Of course. Is it a film that I'll watch every Halloween season? Probably. It's just a silly film that you got to throw on every Halloween season and put you in that season mood. So yeah, that's my little take on Hocus Pocus. And you know what? Sometimes you got to watch a film that you hate and get a new perspective. Yeah, still hate it and get a new perspective of it. Like, sometimes you might despise a film, then you watch it years later, you're like, you know what? It's bad, but it's not as bad as I thought, as I remembered. Like, my brain thought, like, this is the worst thing ever, but it's really not that bad. Like, come on now. I get the love for it. So yeah, what are your thoughts and opinions on Hocus Pocus? Is this a nostalgia trip for you people, or is it a film you just don't give two fucks about? Either way, I'm in for it. Give me your thoughts and opinions, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.